The way the bed was set up is what...
She was trapped.
She was trapped.
Trapped. That's how the mother of Idaho murder victim Kaylee Gonsalves describes how her daughter died in a new interview about the case, as prosecutors and defense attorneys asked to close an upcoming hearing to the public.
So this notion that the state and the defense can get together to keep cameras out is ill-founded. Let's just put it that way.
Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Angenette Levy. Kaylee Gonsalves' parents have revealed new details they say they learned from the coroner about how their daughter died. Kaylee Gonsalves, her best friend, Maddie Mogan, their roommate, Xana Kernodle, and Kernodle's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, were all stabbed to death in a house near the University of Idaho campus last November. The case has captured the attention of people around the world. Bryan Kohberger, a Washington State University PhD student, has pleaded not guilty to the murders. In an episode of 48 Hours, Kaylee Gonsalves' parents said the county coroner told them that Maddie Mogan was killed first. Kaylee was killed second. She was sleeping in the bed with her best friend.
Yeah, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
The new information comes as Bryan Kohberger is due back in court this week. His lawyers are asking Judge John Judge to dismiss the indictment. They claim the grand jurors were biased and that mistakes were made in the process. But mystery still surrounds some of the specific claims because the motion is sealed. Now the defense and the prosecution have filed paperwork agreeing to close the hearing to the public. But there's one problem with that, according to First Amendment lawyer Jack Greiner.
Well, I think that the idea that the defense and the state can get together and close a hearing just by their own agreement is just simply not the case. There are other stakeholders, there are other people with interest, including the families who is, from my reading, there's a desire that the cameras be in the courtroom by at least some families of the victims. The other stakeholder, obviously, is the public, and the public is represented by the media.
Greiner has argued on behalf of media outlets in courts for years. In fact, he was part of a coalition that included Law and Crime during a high-profile trial in Ohio last year. To close a courtroom, the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press says the judge must hold a hearing on the need for secrecy and allow the media and others to argue against closure. It's a rule from the U.S. Supreme Court. Closing courtrooms is rare in criminal cases.
It is a huge outlier. The idea of closing the courtroom entirely, that the public can't come in for any purpose, is separate and apart from having cameras in the courtroom. That there has to be a compelling need for the closure and that there are no less restrictive means. So it's up to the state and the defense, I guess, since they both want the hearing closed, to come up to articulate a compelling need for the closure. There's nothing in the stipulated motion that articulates a compelling need to close this proceeding, and there's certainly no suggestion of any less restrictive means. So the motion on its face is really defective, and if the court were to close this proceeding entirely without a hearing, that would be automatically subject to appellate review, that the media coalition, I'm sure, would go to the appellate level in Idaho and seek what would be a writ of mandamus to ensure that the court be open during these proceedings.
The issue of having cameras in the courtroom for the trial is a separate issue. Media outlets, including Law and Crime, have argued to keep cameras in the courtroom during the trial. Greiner has argued on behalf of many media outlets many times to keep cameras in the courtroom.
Public ought to know about what's happening at a mass murder, a trial of an alleged mass murderer, and the more the public knows, the better for everybody involved.
Judge Judge has not yet made a decision on the issue of cameras in the courtroom. Whether he will allow this week's hearing to be closed to the public is not yet clear. For Law and Crime, I'm Angenette Levy.